Hey guys, I'm so excited for today's video. I've teamed up with Tracy from Country Charm by Tracy and Linda from Linda's DIY by Design to bring you some red, white, and blue patriotic crafts. If you are looking for some crafting inspo, we have got you covered. I adore Tracy and Linda. I have been following them for years and I love collaborating with them. They have such amazing ideas and I know you are going to love them too. So I'm going to link our playlist as well as their channels in the video description. So make sure you stop by, say hi, and let them know that I sent you. So I'm really excited to get crafting. So grab yourself an iced tea or a lemonade, and let's get to crafting. First up, I'm going to make some vintage style Campfire marshmallow tins. I grabbed these tins at the thrift store along with some spray paint. I'm just using this Magnolia chalk paint in the color Shiplap. Any kind of cream color spray paint will work. And then I have these Campfire marshmallow printables that you can grab for free on my blog. I'll link it here in the video description if you want to make these too. I cut them out. And then I'm going to attach them to the tins with some Mod Podge. I'm just using a brayer to make sure it's on there nice and smooth and to get out any air bubbles. Then I will attach the label to the other tin. I'm also very mindful of where the seam is, so I'm not putting the label like right next to the seam. I always like to have it on the other side of it. Doing the same thing, using my brayer to make sure it's on there nice and smooth, and there you go. Just like that, super cute, right? But of course I have to go ahead and distress these, and I'm using my favorite method that you've seen here a time or two, right? And that is with the cinnamon and Mod Podge. So first I just went on a little light. So you could go very heavy and really distress these with the cinnamon and Mod Podge, or do just a little bit. So I want to do a little light at first, and then I did go back in later and kind of apply a little bit more. So you dab on some Mod Podge, sprinkle it with cinnamon, and then dab the Mod Podge off. But I also found what worked too is just taking my sponge. This sponge worked excellent for this project, is dipping my sponge lightly in the Mod Podge and then into the cinnamon and then just dabbing it. You can see I'm using like the entire brush or sponge, I should say, and just applying it just like that. And then the same on top on the lid as well. So I just dab it into the Mod Podge, then into the cinnamon, and then onto the container. So that one is done. And then I'm going to do the same for this one. But then I'm also going to take some of my instant coffee, another method that I love to do that I've shared many times. And that's just going to make it look a little different. So I'm first just going around it with the cinnamon. And the cinnamon gives it a very rusty look once it dries. I always like to say you can, if it's a nice sunny day, put it outside, let it bake in the sun, or just let it air dry, or you can use a heat gun or a dryer to dry it as well, or just set it aside and it will dry. So again, I'm lightly dabbing my sponge into the matte Mod Podge, then directly right into the cinnamon, and then dabbing it onto the tin. And you can apply this as light or as heavy as you want. If you just want to give it a little bit of a rusty look like that. Doesn't that look great? It looks like an old rusty Campfire marshmallow tin. I have an old original one, so it's kind of fun to see these too. So if you've been wanting one and you've been having a hard time finding one, you can just make it like this. Now I'm also, for this one, I'm going to add some instant coffee too. And that gives it a little bit of a different look. It also almost looks like some melted marshmallow on the tin. So it's kind of cool, but I did adjust to this one. So you can see how this one looks with that rustiness on it. Isn't it cool? Just let it dry. You get that very baked on rusty look. And I just like how some parts are thicker than others too. So such a fun technique, such a fun project. Then you can see on here how that instant coffee, just a little bit here and there, almost looks like melted marshmallow. These are so fun to make and perfect for your red, white, and blue decor. And you will be able to see all of the finished projects at the end of this video. Next up, I'm going to make an Uncle Sam hat using this gift cylinder and plate from Dollar Tree. First, I'm going to cover the gift cylinder with some fabric. This is fabric that I got at a local shop. Now, I meant to spray the cylinder with spray glue and then wrap it so it's all attached, but I lost my train of thought. I actually have another project coming up in this video where I do that, but I didn't. I just hot glued it. So either way will work. You can either spray the cylinder and wrap it or do what I did here with some hot glue. And then I'm just trimming it on the bottom. Now on the top, I'm actually going to fold it over because I'm going to cover that top part. So don't worry, that top part's not going to look unfinished like it's going to look right here. I just couldn't decide if I wanted to do a different pattern on top. So I kind of wait to the end to do that when I kind of have it done, and then I can decide if I wanted to do the darker color fabric. So you can see here it's just folded nicely, but I'm going to get to covering that. So same thing for the plate. I'm just cutting out some fabric and then I'm going to hot glue it. Now make sure if you make this too, you add some hot glue also to the center of the plate where the fabric is, or when you pick up the hat, it'll kind of pull. So you also want to make sure that you add fabric to that top of the plate as well where the fabric is, so it's on there nice and tight. And then I'm also covering the plate here on the bottom too, just so it's all finished. And then I'm adding hot glue to the cylinder and placing it on top of the bottom. And there is my Uncle Sam hat, just like that. So easy. I love the different patterns, and that's what I was trying to decide for the top of the hat, if I wanted to do the blue or if I wanted to do the stripe. I also got some homespun and wrapped it around. I'm also taking some dried Sweet Annie and adding it to the hat too. I'm going to add some of the other dried florals I have here shortly too. And then I'm also going to make a cute little tag, of course, to add to it as well. So I just have my stamps here, and that's a USA. Just adding some of the ink and adding it to a piece of craft paper, and then I'll distress it with a little bit of wax too. This is the wax that I like to use for distressing the tags. Another option is Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. I've used that a lot too, but recently this has been my go-to. And then I'm just going to add that to the hat, just add a little dab of hot glue and tying my little homespun there as well. So I love all the different little patterns. I'm also distressing it a little bit too with some more of that wax, just very lightly. You could also just use a dry brush of some brown paint too, but I just love this wax. I use it on everything. It just applies nicely. I love the color. It's perfect. Now I finally decided I'm just going to keep it with the stripe. So I cut out just a nice round piece to attach it. But what I wanted to do is kind of fray it around the edges. You'll see kind of what I do. So I'm attaching it all over, also distressing that, but then I'm taking the brush and kind of pulling up that edge too, just to make the hat look a little, see how I'm kind of using my fingers just to kind of distress it there too. I love the way this hat turned out. It is so darling. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you plan on making one of these too. And another option, and I almost was going to do this, is just to use some cans. If you have some old cans, it's a great way to recycle those using the lid and then another size can. I added some of those other dried florals, and look at how darling this turned out. I absolutely love this project. So next up, I'm going to make some no-sew popsicles. You guys know I love making these little no-sew bowl fillers, and I see popsicles all over the place recently. So I'm like, I gotta get on the popsicle bandwagon and make some popsicles too. And of course, I gotta do it with my style using homespun and having a nice frayed edge. Now, honestly, I was going to go around with some pinky shears. So when I hot glued it, I actually went in a little bit more than I normally. I usually go kind of right at the edge, but I did go in maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. And because I was going to go around and take my pinking shears, and the pinking shears will help prevent the fraying, but also to just give it like a nice edge around it. But you guys, I love a frayed edge. I love that distressed look, so I did it. But I wanted to throw that idea out there. Once I go around, I add some stuffing from an old pillow as well as a popsicle stick that I stained, and then I add a little hot glue to seal it shut. I also forgot to mention you can get this pattern for free on my blog. I'll include a link for it in the video description. Then I add another little piece of homespun, of course a tag. I always have to add a little tag too. And these are so cute, so fun to make such a fun bowl filler and perfect for red, white, and blue decor. I also hot glue on a little button And these are just so fun and easy to make. Look at how cute that is. The popsicle sticks are from Hobby Lobby, and I just stain them with some of the Folk Art Antique Wax, just lightly. I had them in my stash. Here are the other ones that I've made as well, and doing something very similar, but just using a different piece of torn homespun to make the bow, as well as adding a tag. On this one I'm doing 1776, and again, you can tuck these anywhere. You could even add a little bit of twine or a hanger to the back, and it would make a super cute garland too. And again, you don't want to miss Linda's and Tracy's video for even more red, white, and blue crafting inspo. I will link the playlist as well as links to their channel in the video description. Here are all of my no-sew popsicle bowl fillers. So easy to make, and you could use whatever fabric matches your style of decor. So what I'm going to do, how I'm going to display them, is I have this wire basket from Dollar Tree. I've shared this before. I love making this. This is such an easy way to make like a rusty basket for your bowl fillers if you don't want to put them in a bowl. I've shared it recently too when I shared, I think, some seed packets. I think it was in a recent video. So this is just the wire basket, and then I have some cinnamon stick paint. It's by Decor Art, which you can get at Hobby Lobby. And then I just brush it on there lightly, and that gives it a rusty look. So just, apply it as much or as little as you want. Then I'm filling the basket with some Spanish moss, and then I'm adding my cute little popsicles. Isn't that cute? So cute, so easy, and a great way to display your project. I'm also filling it with a little bit of dried sweet Annie too. And then of course, got to make a tag. So I just have some craft paper. I make my own tags by just cutting it out. Then I can always customize the size of the tag that I want. And then I'm using my clickable stamps to stamp my word and wrinkling it, of course, and just dressing it with some of my wax, which I love to do, and attaching it to my wire basket with a little bit of homespun. And here it is all done. Don't you love it? I think this turned out so cute. Again, you can get the pattern for the no-sew popsicle on my blog. I'll link it here in this video description. Next, I'm going to make a drum. Now, this is a container that I got at the thrift store that I spray painted when I spray painted the other containers for the Campfire Marshmallow, but you could also use these gift containers from Dollar Tree. And so next I'm going to spray it now with the spray glue. I cut some homespun to size, and then I'm just going to wrap it around my cylinder. So this is where I was mentioning before about using the spray glue for the Uncle Sam hat. It just is on there nice and secure, just like that. And then I'm going to trim off any excess. And you can make this as big or as small as you like. If you have a bigger container you want to use, or make some little mini ones, would be really cute too. So now I'm going to add the lid, but the lid is actually going to be the bottom of my drum. So I'm going to turn it over, and then to the top I have some lightly coffee stained muslin. I'm tracing around that, and then I'm going to cut out about 2.5 inches over. So I'm using that line that I drew as a guide, but just cutting around over about 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to put it on, which is now going to be my top. I'm adding some hot glue around the rim so that it stays in place, but then I'm kind of pulling it. You can see how I kind of pull it tight, just so it's nice and tight and it stays in place. Next, I'm going to go around that edge with some twine. This is a little bit of a thicker twine that I got at Michael's, and I'm going to use hot glue to attach it, but also keep it in place too. So just slowly going around, and then just in little places adding just a little dab of hot glue just to keep it in place. And then when I go all the way around, I'll trim off that excess. And this is how it's coming along. So now I'm going to start adding my twine, going up and down in like a V pattern around the drum, just adding a little bit of hot glue at the top and then at the bottom. But I was like, oh wait, I meant to paint the base or distress the base of the drum too. And I'm just using a little bit of my wax, which I'm going to seal then after at the end too. And I'm just kind of dabbing it on just to give it a distressed look. I'm also going onto the fabric as well, but antique wax by Folk Art, any of paint you want to do, any color, you know, whatever works. But what I am using is my Behr wax. Now back to the twine. So I am just going up and down in a V pattern to create my drum, and then just attaching it with a little bit of hot glue. If you make this too, just be mindful when you're going around that when you get to the end, to the opposite side, that you want to make sure that it's even. So just kind of be mindful as you're going around that you have enough spacing in between each. And then I'm going over with a little bit more of my wax just to bring it all together. Then I decided I thought would be a really cute idea would be to use buttons to my little points there. So I'm adding some buttons with some hot glue. And then I couldn't resist drumming my drum. I couldn't stop doing that. I have these sticks that are, or these dowels actually, I should say, that I also got at Dollar Tree. I'm staining those down. I'm using a little bit of folk art antique wax. For that, just taking my little spun brush, lightly going on. And then I have these little floral balls that I also got at Dollar Tree. This is a great little Dollar Tree project. If you use the gift cylinders, you could use, you know, this could be almost a Dollar Tree project except for the fabric and maybe a few other little things. And then I'm just wrapping those floral balls with a little bit of fabric and then attaching the fabric, almost like when you make the Christmas ornaments like this. That's kind of what my inspo was. I took some twine, cut off the excess fabric, but I like that, like, you know, the distressed edging around that fabric, of course, and then doing it the same to the other. I'm adding a little bit of hot glue into the ball just so it stays in place into the dowel. Same thing, adding some twine and then cutting off that excess fabric. And then here I go again with the drum. I can't stop. And then I have some sealer that I'm just spraying on that base just to lock it all in. And then of course, here we go again with another tag, same thing as before, cutting out my tag, distressing it, the whole thing, and then I'm going to hot glue it onto my drum. You guys, this is such a cute and fun project. Let me know in the comments what you think and if you plan on making this too. I couldn't resist one more time using my little drumsticks. Such a fun thing. So last up, I always love to inspire you with like thrifty projects as well. So this is a $2 tray that I recently got at the thrift store. And the color was similar to, you know, that very prim red color that I love. So I thought since we are doing a red, white, and blue theme here, it's always great to have a red tray to display your patriotic decor. And this tray, just when I got it, I went with the intention of wanting to paint it, to paint over the design on it. And I mentioned this in a recent video that I absolutely love the Old Village paint in the color Salmon Brick. It is the perfect prim red. If you love that prim rustic decor and you are looking for that perfect prim red, this color, you guys, is it. I don't know if it's picking up so well on this part with my lighting in my craft room, but you'll see it when I show it at the end, the perfect color. Oh, I just love this red. You can see it here peeking out on the tray. So if you want to just do a simple project, make over, maybe you have an old tray that you haven't used, just paint it. I will link this paint in the video description. I get it at a local shop, but you can also get it on Amazon and I'll link it. Just makes a great base for all of your red, white, and blue patriotic Americana decor. Look at how pretty that tray turned out. I love it. So easy. It was just a $2 tray too. And here is everything I created in today's video. Okay, guys, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you got some crafting inspo as well. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did and let me know in the comments which craft is your favorite. And again, don't forget to head over to Tracy and Linda's channels and check out their crafts from today, as well as all of their other videos they share, because they have such amazing ideas, you guys. I know you're gonna love them too. You can also follow me on social media at Mother Time. Check out my blog, mothertime.com. And if you've enjoyed this video and you are not subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to click that subscribe button so you never miss any of these videos. Okay, you guys, thanks again for hanging out with me here today, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye, guys.